this is Aoife Dean and this is the Happy Weight podcast. You know, I was reading in one of the food plans there for a new client starting and, I was just kind of writing, we could have lost weight 10 times over if we had always done this. And I thought it would be like a good episode for the podcast too. Because when I kind of started seeing things differently, after 15, 20 years or however long I struggled with eating and weight, I was kind of like, whoa, what if I hadn't done that? Like, what if I didn't react like I do? My God, I would have lost the weight 10 times over by now. So I just want to go over a few of those things that we could do, because we've not run out of time or anything. These are just things to reflect on, kind of, I suppose, in a positive way. Like, how different could my life be if from today I started to do these things? So I'll start with the first one. So the first one, and I kind of said it a little bit in the motivation episode as well, but, there might be a little bit of a soundtrack in our mind going on every day of, oh, it's hard for me to lose weight, I'll never lose weight. They're the kind of things that just go around and around in maybe our minds when we have a bad weight mindset. And so, like, imagine if from today now, you just kind of replace that and you actively and intentionally set time aside every day to do some affirmations and some people don't like the word affirmations. And I'm like, yeah, grand, but we're all doing them anyways. Like, hypnosis, often when I say I'm a hypnotherapist, people are like, oh, wow, that's so cool. And what about self-hypnosis? And I'm like, really? Self-hypnosis is just the thoughts we keep choosing to say. Because, thoughts can be habit, but they're also a choice. Like, we get to hear the bullshit going on in our head, and we get to choose differently. So we could hear the usual defeating statements like, I'll always have a weight problem, or it's hard for me to lose weight, all of those ones. And then we have to catch ourselves and say things like, I love lightening up. Like, it's easy for me to lighten up. Lightening up suits me. I love the feeling of lightness. And sometimes a good affirmation is just saying the words light. Light. I love feeling light. Lightness suits me. Feeling fit really suits me. Feeling strong really suits me. I love having strength. I love feeling strong. I'm good at finding ways to exercise. I'm good at finding things that make me feel nice. I'm good at finding ways to take care of myself. And with some of these statements, some of them are a little bit of a stretch and some of them are ultimately true. Like, I've actually never worked with anyone that when we're doing affirmations like, I love feeling light, it really suits me to feel light. I've never heard anyone be like, no, I disagree with that. I don't like feeling light. So some of them are just factual, that we do love feeling strong. We do love feeling fit. And then making our brain stretch and making our brain work for us and find opportunities comes with the statements like, I'm good at finding ways to exercise, because ultimately you are. Like, you are better at exercising than someone else on the planet. You are better at exercising than potentially a lot of people on the planet. So, we have to start seeing things with those eyes. And also, your self-care game is not that bad. Like, there are a lot of people who are way more negligent with their self-care game. So, these kind of statements start putting us in a new, more empowered position, that I am good at finding ways to take care of myself. I am good at finding ways to exercise. I love feeling lighter. I love finding ways of feeling lighter. I love feeling well after my meals. I love really loving food. Like, we get to kind of, think about what we love or think about what we would love more of, and start saying it. And with those affirmations, I was just kind of thinking, if you ever saw the movie The Secret, in the movie The Secret, they make it all sound like magic and the universe. And, with affirmations or things that we tell ourselves. In the movie, they show this like genie popping up out of a bottle, and it's like, whatever you're telling yourself, good or bad, the genie says, your wish is my command. And now, with all the neuroscience that's out there, neuroscience would say that like there's nothing wooey about any of that. It's just you're commanding your brain to work in a different way. So it's not a genie saying your wish is my command. It's that if we're instructing the brain or reminding the brain over and over again that I love feeling light, I love finding new fun ways to feel light, I love finding new fun ways that suit me to feel healthier. When we're saying all of that, it's an instruction, it's a command. Like there's someone else who says that every thought we think is us taking a vote. So when we say stuff like, I love lightness, I love finding ways to feel lighter, we're taking a vote every time for how our brain is going to run next. We're taking a vote for the behaviours that are potentially going to happen over the next 24, 48 hours. So when we say all of these things, our subconscious is like, oh, cool, so that's who you are now. Oh, right, okay, yeah, you're a person who loves feeling lighter. Great, yeah, we'll go with that. Our subconscious is responsible for 95% of our behaviours. So we just need to make it clear what our command is, like the person we want to be today and this week. And that just cancels out the entire past. Like, there's no prerequisite. There's no entry level anything to do that. It's like you could be whatever weight, you could have had whatever way of eating over the last few hours of the last few days. It literally doesn't matter. You get to make your new commands. You get to reprogram the person that you are. And like I said, like imagine if, say, I don't know, from whatever age that we got issues with eating and food. Imagine if instead we were like, I'm so good at feeling fit. I'm so good at feeling good in my body. I'm so good at finding ways to feel better. Imagine if that had always been in our mind, So with that as well, it's kind of like, rather than saying all the stuffy, heavy, usual stuff, it's like, imagine if all of that had been replaced with these statements. Like I said, we're not running out of time. We haven't missed the boat. We can just start doing those commands now and shelve the old ones. The next one is unrealistic expectations. And I kind of call this like a failure disappointment cycle. Like I used to do things that like, right, I'm going to exercise every day this week. And then we just have to be like, okay, does history suggest that when you say you're going to exercise 7 days a week that you do? Does history suggest that if you say you're going to do a 30-day challenge, you do all 30 days? Because in my history, no. The answer is no. That if there was times where I was like, right, you're going to get up every morning at 7 a.m. and exercise, there was lots of times I planned that and it did not happen. And what we'll do when we're stuck in a weight problem is we'll keep making plans and then we'll keep being disappointed in the plans. And now we have to kind of think that like, okay, maybe if you're listening to this podcast, you're a comfort or emotional eater. So like the main kryptonite is disappointment. The main kryptonite for your weight, the main thing blocking you from the weight you are currently to the weight you would like to be is things like self-disappointment. So that's just not an option now. If we want to reduce how often we overeat or comfort eat, and if disappointment and being disappointed in ourselves creates a high risk of comfort eating, it's just not an option. It's just not an option. So we now need to stop setting traps for ourselves. And there's lots of them, right? Like as in another one would be, I'd have clients and it's like, they're working full-time jobs, right? So I'm like, they're working full-time jobs and then they're maybe giving themselves a hard time for the house cleaning or the meals or the kids or something like that. And it's like, oh yeah, you've made your choice. So you are not a 1950s housewife. You have a full-on career. You have a full-on job. Like, you work full hours. So therefore, it's an unrealistic expectation that you would be the perfect parent, the perfect house cleaner, and the perfect employee all at one time. Like, that's an unrealistic expectation. Another unrealistic expectation is, say, I'm going to start being really organised and planned with my food if you never have been, you know? Like I noticed for me anyway, actually nothing about me changed as such between being 3 stone heavier, having eating and weight issues, and now. I probably just know myself better. Like, as in, the ship has sailed for me, being really organised with shopping and cooking. I have a very short attention span with stuff that's not a high value or priority to me. But before, I would have been like, yeah, keep hunting for that. Keep striving to be organised every day with your food and shopping. And it's like, nah, like, the peace comes from realising who you are and who you're not. And there's plenty of convenient stuff out there. There's plenty of other people willing to cook carrots or cook a chicken or, you know, sell salad bags or whatever that can do the work for me, because I do have a full-time job. So, you know, we want to stop those unrealistic expectations. So, yeah, with that, another one that people often have is like, I could have the most stressful week of my life at work, like the most stressful day at work, be absolutely burnt out, come home at 6 o'clock, and then prepare and eat a very healthy meal. No more, no less. Don't eat anything else but a healthy meal, and have the energy and dedication to cook it from scratch. And it's kind of like, look, that's probably an unrealistic expectation. If history suggests that actually your stressful days are usually the days where you get a takeaway, well then let's work with that. Let's work with, okay, if you are going to get a takeaway, how can you not overeat the takeaway? How can you get the takeaway but still go to bed with a lovely feeling in your belly? How can you eat something that is quick, because calling a spade, you don't have the energy levels or the attention span to cook something from scratch. So what would do instead? What would be something that works? And by works, I always mean it tasted really good when you ate it and you felt really nice in your tummy afterwards, and it did the job. You weren't like searching and hunting around the presses and the freezer to see what else was there. And you got to go to bed feeling way nicer than any of the evenings that you would have been like, screw it. Well, if I can't make the healthy dinner, I'll just wildly overeat a takeaway. Like, what we need to search for now is the world in between those two things. Like, disordered eating is the whole, like, being very, very good, very, very clean. That's disordered. Or being very, very negligent, getting a load of food that isn't tasting or feeling well, or making ourselves feel rotten with food. That's negligent. So now the world in between is the one that we want to visit and live in, where it's a grey area. It's like, yes, we were treated. Yes, it was lovely. But also we felt well after it. So we didn't miss out. But equally, we didn't feel gross. So that's what we'd be aiming for. So then the next one is perfectionism. So, like, how many days, how many weeks have we thrown away? Like, imagine if all those days, all those weeks, imagine if we hadn't thrown them away by calling them bad. Imagine if we had just kind of had a reaction to say, oh, that was a big lunch, geez, anyways, moving on. Because a perfectionist mentality would be like, I've ruined the day now because I overate. Or that second ice cream marks the fact that today is now bad. Or not exercising 2 days in a row or overeating 2 days in a row means that now I'm having a bad week. So it's like, you have to ask yourself, how many days and weeks have you thrown away by calling them bad? Because they were all perfectly good weeks that you could have worked with if we didn't judge them as bad and then throw them away and decide to comfort eat instead because we'd already ruined the day or ruined the week. So that is perfectionism. And I'm always really, really clear to clients that, by the way, this is what we're overcoming. We're overcoming perfectionism. The idea that overeating isn't you messed up and you failed as a human. Like, that's an extremely high bar to never, ever expect yourself to overeat or never expect, like, the celebrations that are sitting on the table to win. You know, like, they are planned and designed and marketed to make you want to eat them and to make you overeat them. So sometimes that's going to happen, and it doesn't mean you're a bad person, doesn't mean you're a failure, doesn't mean you're never going to lose weight. It doesn't mean any of those things. But the perfectionist mentality will tell us it does mean those things. So we really have to accept imperfection now, because imperfection is where all the growth happens. So you waking up the morning after a big binge or a night where you overate, and that's an imperfect scenario, you know, that's not a good day, that's not a clean day, it's not exactly a great starting point, but you're going to make it work. You can still move on. You could wake up, like, it could be 7:30 now. You could feel nice by 10 a.m. You don't have to throw out the week or throw out the day at all. And equally, you know, you mightn't have exercised in 2 weeks. You don't need to throw away today as well. Like, exercise is a nice feeling. And even when I was saying those affirmations earlier of, I love feeling fitter, I love feeling lighter, like, maybe that resonates with you. Like, maybe when you say it out loud to yourself that, like, I do love feeling strong, like, it is kind of true. It is kind of true. So if anything, if you've had 2 weeks with no exercise, God love you. You definitely don't deserve to miss out on that feeling. Like, there's thousands and millions of people, you know, in the last 2 weeks, like, riding high on the endorphins of feeling a bit stronger, feeling a bit fitter, feeling a bit smug or proud of themselves. And if you didn't get to cash in on any of that, well then, today or tomorrow, you definitely deserve to cash in on that. Like, it's a lovely feeling and you don't deserve to miss out. And that all of that has nothing to do with perfectionism. Like, everyone's going to miss a week of exercise for various different reasons. Everyone's going to have a day where they overeat for various different reasons. But, like, the massive shift now will be not throwing everything away when that happens. You know, like, resisting the urge to want a perfect clean day or clean week. You don't need it. You don't need one perfect day or perfect week anywhere between now and being your ideal weight or staying your ideal weight. You don't need one. You just need to work with what you have, you know? And that always reminds me of, you know, I think it was Martin Luther King, he was like, even if I was a street sweeper, I'd be the best street sweeper there is. So, like, that's the kind of strong mentality that, like, I don't need perfect conditions. Like, I can wake up bloated and mank and make the day work for me. I can come off the back of 2 weeks or 4 weeks of no exercise and then be like, feck it, I'm going to go for a sauna and a swim, do you know? Like, you know, we get to be new, and that's what we have to keep deciding. I get to be new. Like, you know, we don't need to wait for anything. We just need to throw away that perfectionist mentality and not take our baggage of yesterday or earlier with us and get to be new, get to feel how we wish to feel now, you know? And the next one is that you did the thing. You finally did the thing. Whatever the thing is, whatever you associate with, the thing you will do when you're at your ideal weight. So maybe the thing you think that will happen when you're your ideal weight is that you have the perfect wardrobe, that you just like open your wardrobe in the morning and everything fits and everything makes you happy. Cool. Imagine if you did that now. Imagine if that was the only that was the only relationship you ever had with clothes. Like, when I started putting myself into this mindset of, wow, imagine if my last 15 years I didn't punish myself by either not buying new clothes or staring at a whole wardrobe of clothes that evidently don't fit me or make me feel that I'm not where I should be or make me feel that I'm wrong or I've done something wrong. Like, what would my life have been? What would my eating have been? How much comfort eating would I have not done if every day I had given myself the right to have a lovely wardrobe of clothes that currently fit me and that currently feel well on me Or another thing, we might be like, you know, a lot of people are conscious of like, you know, being in exercise classes. I don't want to be the worst in the class. I don't want to be the biggest in the class. Imagine if 15 years ago you were like, screw it. I like the feeling after classes. I don't give a hoot what my body looks like. I'm just going to do the classes. Imagine how much exercise how much more exercise that would have been in our life, how much less comfort eating, how much more confidence if we had just been like, screw it, let's be the end product, let's do what my ideal weight self would do, let's freaking go to the class and see what happens. And there's so many other examples. Basically, like when you put your mind to it, anything you think that your ideal weight you would already be up to, what you'd already be doing on a day like today, or started acting more like yourself, you know, the real you, the unique you. You started talking to yourself like someone who deserves respect. You started only talking to yourself in a very, very respectful way. You know, because all of this, everything to do with weight is always backwards. We think we'd respect ourselves more if we lost weight. We think we'd be prouder of ourselves if we lost weight. But actually, it's like, respect yourself and you'll realise that you're above keeping Doritos or whoever in business by eating 2 share bags back to back. You'll realise you are above feeling sick going to bed, and you are above berating yourself when you eat too much, when every human overeats too much. Like, starting to talk to yourself with respect, the matching respect that you think that you would speak to yourself if you'd already lost the weight. If you were someone who was walking around the planet as their ideal weight, did not have body confidence issues, did not have body image issues, you just spoke to yourself with the tip-top respect. And then with that as well, start before you're ready. Like, be these things now. Stop waiting. You know that book, The Top Regrets of the Dying? Like, the top regret is basically, to translate it, you know, I'm really annoyed I didn't have the balls to be me. Like, and that's the good thing. Like, I know it's never good to get a diagnosis, but if you have a diagnosis or a near-death experience, you really reassess everything. And too much information, but I did ayahuasca last year, which is something I'll touch more on another podcast. But part of the whole amazing experience was that I genuinely thought I was dying. I thought I was in my dying moments. And I was like, whoa, that's it. Like, Aoife Dean, 1986 to 2024, that was my only blueprint on the world ever. There'll never be another person like me before, after me, ever again. And was I that unique blueprint? Did I do everything that I could do with that unique blueprint? You know, so, you know, basically this isn't a dress rehearsal, and we want to be the, you know, the youest you that you can be. And that's another reason why I kind of think we have to stop hiding behind a weight problem. We have to stop like using a weight problem as why we're acting like our current life is just a dress rehearsal. That our real life is on the horizon when we lose weight, but currently we're just in a, you know, pre-contemplation stage, or you know, we're in the waiting room before our real life begins. It's like, no, you're not. You're in your real life. So, and another part with that is, does your day-to-day life line up with what you say your values are? Because I remember having that eureka moment for myself, probably, and no coincidence, around the time that I started getting over my eating and weight issues. I was like, okay, I say I stand for my health, but my week doesn't reflect that. And I love people like Nigella Lawson. I love like sexy, gorgeous women who are passionate about food. And I love people who are passionate about food and, you know, love it and enjoy it and are almost sensual about it or whatever. Like, freaking food is so important to them. Like, I loved that and I respected it in others. However, there I was eating protein bars and tracking on my Fitness Pal. Like, that's grim. It's like you're literally the opposite of that kind. I was literally the opposite of the person that I respected. And equally, I said I was into languages. I wasn't learning or practicing any, and like I said that my health was important, but I was coming home from late, absolutely exhausted and binge eating. So it was like, no, my health was not important to me. Money was important to me. And sometimes I'd love to say that to clients as well, a little bit, because, people do say health is important to them. But if you look at their week, no, it's money or keeping up with the Jones is important to them. So, and that's grand too. But let's just be honest about whatever our values are. And whatever our values are, whatever, if you were to write out what makes you, the, intricacies, the values, the things you stand for, the things you don't, does your week, does how you spend your time, does how you spend your money reflect all of those things? And if it doesn't, the whole, wake up call of, well, when is life actually beginning? If I'm not being true to all of these things now, when exactly do I think I'll be true to them all? So in my life, I did absolutely change things around a lot, and I suppose I said no to a lot more money and opportunities in London in order to have a life where I'm congruent to myself and much, much healthier and much, much more me. So that for me was absolutely worth it, So yeah, a little bit of a tangent there at the end, as always. But thank you so much for listening, and I'll be back on the next episode. And you can check out my website, happyweight.ie, to see my online programs and my one-to-one programs if you're struggling with overeating, undereating, or emotional issues with food, body image, etc. I would love to help you. Okay, thanks for listening. And Jack, thank you as always for editing and producing. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye.